everyone. Welcome back. This is your host, and today we're going back up north to explore another alleged haunted house here in the Philippines. This time around, we'll be stepping inside the infamous Laperal White House, now known as Joseph's Baguio. This is the story of the most haunted house in Baguio City. It was an early morning when I decided to head on up to Baguio with some friends to check out what's now popularly known as Joseph's Baguio, the most haunted house in Baguio City. The drive was about 4 hours as we left Manila and headed north. But the closer we got to our destination, the more excited we were to finally lay our eyes on the place and investigate it for ourselves. As first-time visitors, we had a hard time finding the place because it isn't really well marked. But once we got to the area, we saw that there were already people around and parked nearby. We met some locals who were very helpful, and they pointed us in the right direction and told us where to park. And then we started walking to the house, and this was when my friend Michaela noticed something. She said, "Guys, do you feel that?" And we stopped to listen. There was a sound like someone had just played a piano, but it sounded so old and really out of tune. At first we thought maybe it came from a house nearby, but it seemed to be coming from inside the house itself. Even the locals who were outside hanging around looked at each other and whispered, "Ah, Joseph's mansion." So even they weren't sure if the music they heard actually came from the house or not. When we reached the house, we took a moment to admire its beauty. From the outside, it looks like your typical stately ancestral home with a wide veranda, intricately carved wooden posts, keepis shell windows, and large rooms. It looks like any other old house here in the Philippines, except for the fact that it's painted completely white, which makes it look so striking, especially from afar. It reminded me of those European mansions you see in old black and white movies. So I can only imagine how stunning it must have been when it was first built during the 1920s. Getting to step inside the house was very easy since there were signs indicating that it's open to the public. We paid the entrance fee of 30 pesos per person and then went to the second floor to start the tour. Although we could roam around freely, there were off-limit areas indicated by red ropes. And honestly, we didn't go up close to these areas because we didn't want to disturb anything. The guide told us that the downstairs area is actually a restaurant. Apparently, it's also open to the public and you can dine there if you want. But since we went there pretty early, the restaurant wasn't open yet. And so we focused our attention upstairs instead. One thing I found interesting was the fact that there were still parts of the house that seemed to have been lived in. There were clothes hanging in the closets, kitchen utensils lying around, dishes in the sink, and even toiletries in the bathroom. The guide told us that the owners still come to the house every now and then to clean it up and make sure everything is okay. He also said that the owners are the grandchildren of the original owners and that they haven't sold the house because it's part of their family's heritage. Our tour guide was pretty friendly and shared a lot of interesting information about the house while we were exploring it. He told us that the house used to be called the Laperal White House, named after its original owner, William Laperal. Apparently, he was a rich businessman who owned apple orchards, pine trees, and strawberry farms in La Trinidad, Benguet. Because of his wealth, he was able to construct this beautiful house in Baguio during the 1920s, which used to be a popular vacation destination for wealthy families from Manila. The house used to be their vacation home where they would stay whenever they needed a break from the heat. They lived there from February to May, but then they would return to Manila when the rainy season started. During the war, however, things changed drastically for them. Our guide told us that the Japanese soldiers invaded the city and burned down many houses, including the Laperal White House. Only 2 walls were left standing after the attack. Those walls still stand up to this day, which is why you might notice that there are only 2 walls on the 3rd floor. The rest of the rooms on that floor were reconstructed after the war ended. After the war, the family was no longer as rich as before, so they had to rent out portions of their house to make money. Eventually, the house changed hands and became an event venue and restaurant. It was renamed Joseph's Baguio in honor of one of the grandchildren of the original owner, whose name is Joseph. That's how it got its new name. And apparently it's still owned by his family up to today. Aside from sharing the history of the house, our guide also regaled us with some horror stories that happened both before and after the war. For example, he told us that a Japanese soldier died on the 3rd floor during the war. Some nights, guests staying in the building would hear the sound of footsteps moving about on the third floor, which no one ever saw anyone. He also told us about the piano that we heard when we arrived at the house. Apparently, there's a ghost who likes to play it late at night, but if you ask the caretaker, they'll tell you that it was probably just mice running around on the wooden floor. Another tragic story our guide told us was about a young woman who committed suicide in one of the bedrooms on the second floor. He said that she was the daughter of one of the former caretakers and that she killed herself because her boyfriend broke up with her. Since then, people have reported seeing the ghost of a young woman in a Victorian nightgown wandering the halls at night. Apart from those stories, there were also a lot of small incidents that happened during our visit that we couldn't explain. For example, while we were taking photos in one of the rooms on the second floor, we heard the distinct sound of someone opening a door somewhere far away. When we checked, we saw that all the doors in the area were closed and no one else was around. Then there was the incident when I was in front of the full-length mirror on the second floor, and suddenly I felt cold. I turned around to see if someone was behind me trying to prank me, but there was no one there. Suddenly, the lights flickered and I saw my own reflection move slightly, as if someone had walked past me. My friends and I were all freaked out because there was no way someone could have passed in front of me without me seeing them, since there was only one door in and out of that room, and we were certain that no one had entered the room after we did. Before heading downstairs, we took some time to explore the attic, which is located at the end of the second floor hallway. The attic was filled with old trunks, furniture, and appliances, which gave it a creepy and dusty vibe. The floors were also creaky, and the ceiling had a hole in it that revealed a view of the sky. It was in the attic where we experienced the most paranormal activity. As soon as we entered, the air grew colder, and we heard the sound of whispers, footsteps, and dragging metal objects. At one point, someone shouted, "Get out!" as if someone was trying to communicate with us telepathically. Luckily, none of us were too scared to stick around, and we managed to snap a photo of one of the shadowy figures that appeared in the corner of the room. After about an hour, our tour was over and we headed downstairs to leave. Down here, we explored the dining room, living room, kitchen, and bathrooms. The bathrooms were probably the creepiest part of the whole house because they still had the same old-fashioned sinks, toilets, and bathtubs as if the caretakers just left for the day. The bathrooms were also very dirty and unmaintained, which made them look even more dilapidated and run down. But despite the grime and peeling paint, we couldn't help but admire the intricate designs of the pressed tin ceilings and the capiz shell windows. These details are a testament to the craftsmanship of the time and remind us that this house used to be a symbol of wealth and sophistication. Now, according to our guide, the entire house is not only haunted by the spirits of the former owners and caretakers, but also by the ghosts of the Japanese soldiers who occupied the house during the war. This is why some people believe that the house is cursed. Many of the caretakers who have worked in the house have quit because they couldn't take the paranormal activity and eerie atmosphere anymore. And some of the guests who have stayed in the building have experienced strange phenomena such as shaking beds, flickering lights, disembodied voices, and even apparitions. All in all, our experience at Joseph's Baguio was both fascinating and terrifying. It's hard to believe that such a beautiful place can be so haunted, but the stories and energy of the house really give it a unique and unsettling vibe. If you're ever in the area and looking for a spooky adventure, we highly recommend checking it out. What did you think of Joseph's Baguio? Have you ever visited and experienced paranormal activity there? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell icon for more videos like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.